Equestricon.
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 The first ever international racing convention.
The first ever. For the fans.
With the fans. Come see the people.
The breeders, the owners.
The trainers, the horse players.
The jockeys like me. All the personalities.
Meet the legends.
Network with the innovators changing the game.
Entertainment.
Excitement.
Education. I'll be at Equestricon.
You can bet I'll be at Equestricon. I'll be at Equestricon.
I'll be at Equestricon.
Come celebrate racing at Equestricon.
No matter where in the world you are, the excitement of wagering on horse racing is just a click away. CapitalOTB.com offers live streaming, past performances, race replays, our virtual tote board, analysis and selections from professional handicappers, and a simple, safe, and secure wagering platform. And best of all, you get track prices. Going on now, it's Bet 50, Get 50. Simply open a Capital Bets account, bet $50, and get $50 cash back. CapitalOTB.com. Log on today.
This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Friday morning as we wrap up another week. Couple weeks away now from the Belmont Stakes, round 3 of the Triple Crown. We'll likely, we'll see. We'll see what happens as far as cloud computing, but it's likely we'll have 3 different winners of the Triple Crown races this year, which, as we said yesterday, may bode well for Saratoga. They may have to duke it out and try to get a leader in the clubhouse at the end of the summer on the 3-year-old division by all meeting up at Saratoga, perhaps in the Travers. So we'll see what happens there. But again, we are wrapping up this week after the Preakness, and we'll have some Preakness post-conversation with a couple of our guests a little bit later on. Brian Nadeau will join us in a few. He's got the bankroll today here at the Clubhouse Racebook, so we wanted to kind of preview that a little bit, but he was also down in Pimlico this past weekend. We'll talk about that with Brian coming up. Joe Christofek from Churchill Downs will join us. They had a couple of nice stakes last week, and we'll just kind of watch a little review of one of those because Joe was red hot and gave us out a nice winner last week looking at that Saturday card when he was with us last Friday. But they've got a couple of nice stakes on their Saturday card this week as well. So we'll hit on some Friday action and those 2 stakes tomorrow at Churchill with Joe Christofek and a few. And as I say, more Pimlico conversation. Dave Rodman back on with us. He obviously very busy last week, so we didn't have him. We had Gabby Gaudet and a number of folks who were live at Pimlico last week. But Dave plugged back in as amazingly, the Pimlico meet really a way to winding up. It is a quick meet there at Pimlico. But we'll get some of Dave's thoughts last week. Preakness and Black-Eyed Susan days and the undercard races and whatnot, but we'll get some ideas for Pimlico for today as well. So that's your lineup for today. I want to thank our friends at Woodbine for their sponsorship. Woodbine, Pick, bet, and cheer on great racing north of the border. As always, thanks to them. As mentioned, just to hit on the promos and events today here at the Clubhouse Racebook. Again, we want to see you here. The more people, the merrier for our Bankroll Fridays, and we have another one this afternoon. Stop here at the Clubhouse Racebook between 11 and 2 o'clock. Toss your name in the hat. About 2 o'clock, we select 30 people here. 5 more are chosen online. You can find more information about that at capitalotb.com. But we'd like to see you here. It's always fun. Nice filled room and some cheering during the afternoon. Brian Addo will be in, giving selections on a few tracks and trying to make some money with his 750. At the end of the day, all the players in the pool split what is remaining in the kitty. Hopefully it's much more than that 750. We'll find out at the end of the day. Even if you don't get selected on the team, always fun to come down here and hear what the handicapper has to say and maybe get some ideas for your own wagers during the afternoon. So again, that's today here at the Clubhouse Racebook. We want to see you here. Tomorrow, online knockout challenge. Keep that in mind. Also, more information about that at the website. Sunday here at the Clubhouse Racebook, there's a $50 knockout challenge. So keep that in mind for your Sunday plans here at the Clubhouse Racebook. Some fun events over the next few days, keeping everybody busy online here at the Clubhouse, and much more coming up in the weeks ahead, and we will alert you to all of those as we get closer. Talked a little bit about it yesterday, but I thought we would just give you a chance to look at the last race and see if you think that is going to set her up coming up tomorrow at Santa Anita. About 6 o'clock our time, 3 o'clock local time, 6 o'clock our time out at Santa Anita. The Gamely, a Grade 1 event, $300,000, mile and an eighth on the grass for the ladies. And speaking of the ladies, Lady Eli is out there in a anticipated field of 6. And again, I just wanted to show you her seasonal debut and see if you thought that was the foundation to build from. She's going to be the number 1 horse here. She will get beaten slightly by number 4, Dickinson. Lady Eli went off as the 1-2 favorite. Dickinson, super talented herself from the Kieran McLaughlin team. Dickinson at 6-1 this day. Nice price if you add Dickinson, who is in very good form, but just nips Lady Eli. Again, this was her seasonal debut. Lady Eli, prior to that, had run a close-up second in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf back in November. So a little bit of a layoff, and now has the rust off, ships out to Southern California for Chad Brown, and heads into a nice Grade 1 out at Santa Anita. So we'll see how that works out. Again, tune into the network tomorrow at about 6 o'clock to watch the Gamely go off and see if Lady Eli and Chad Brown can get it done out there at Santa Anita. I mentioned it earlier, kind of ran through a nice series of stakes out there tomorrow at Santa Anita. If you're playing, pay attention to some of that action. The Daytona 6.5 on the grass. Looks like an intriguing race with a field of 6. Stormy Liberal, probably off the string of 3 wins, is the one to get by, but Ambitious Brew also looks pretty good. The Gamely, as I said, that'll be the focus of the afternoon, obviously, with Lady Eli. The Monrovia Grade 2 event, 6.5 furlongs on the turf for the Fillies and Mares. And I said yesterday, the intrigue here is kind of some horse for the course angles. Illuminant, although I read Illuminant was maybe picking another spot, but was entering in a couple of spots and was maybe, so, but keep your eyes on that. But there are also Enola Gay, 3 for 3 over the course. Anita Partner, 3 for 5, with a couple other in the money finishes. So that Monrovia has, as I say, some horse for the course appeal. And there's another Grade 1 on the card. The Gamely's going to attract attention with the name horse like Lady Eli. But also on the card is the Gold Cup, $500,000 up for grabs, mile and a quarter. It's not, a bang up field. It's some hard knockers in the handicap division out in Southern California, but overall, American Freedom, I said yesterday, from Bob Baffert, I think has the chance to maybe step forward and be a player overall in this handicap division. We'll see. Certainly the seasonal debut didn't inspire confidence. The 4th place finish in the Ali Sheba at Churchill. That, however, had been a layoff since the second place finish behind Arrogate, the barn mate, and the Travers. So there was a significant layoff. It was a sloppy track also. So let's see if American Freedom can rebound. Still a fairly lightly raced 4-year-old. Baffert also has Cupid in there. And then horses like Midnight Storm and Hard Aces are players in this division out in Southern California. I will also mention coming up, and this is the holiday weekend now, so there'll be some nice stakes beyond Saturday. Sunday, there's the Lone Star Park Handicap, but boy, this is not an inspiring addition for $200,000. Grade 3 event. Danzig Candy for Bob Baffert with Mike Smith scheduled to go in. Maybe seems interesting. Texas Chrome off the second place finish fairly recently in the Steve Sexton Mile. Shotgun Cowboy has done some nice stuff in the Midwest throughout his career. Asmussen has Carouse, who looks a little overmatched on the numbers. Neck and Neck, another Asmussen horse on the numbers is Danzig Candy on the numbers looks to have this race in his sight, certainly. And then there's kind of the second tier, and Neck and Neck probably fits with that group, and who are capable of upsetting because Danzig Candy isn't completely consistent with his numbers. But boy, it's only a field of 5 there on Sunday at Lone Star, with the Baffert horse likely to take most of the attention. And we'll see how that works out. Saturday at Belmont, feature is going to be the Paradise Creek, $100,000 for 3-year-olds on turf. But this isn't necessarily that 3-year-old turf division that I find so intriguing, because the Paradise Creek, they're only going 7 on the turf. So it's kind of an elongated turf sprint. Down at Belmont, that 7 is 1 turn on the turf. But I think it's going to be a fun race. It's a field of 8. 1 of them entered main track only, and we'll have to see, given the weather situation, just how that works out weather-wise, and whether it stays on the turf. Let's keep our fingers crossed things do kind of start to dry out. The horse in here that is going to be the one to beat and is 8-5 on the morning line is Big Handsome for Tony Dutrow. Castellano on board. Steps into Stakes Company for the first time, but clearly improved 2 starts back with the move to turf. Big Handsome, they tried this horse on the dirt in the first 3 career starts. The career debut was okay. Subsequently, a couple of uninspiring efforts. Moved the horse to the turf down at Gulfstream in the middle of March. Broke the maiden there nicely, and then followed up with an allowance here at Belmont and won that nicely. So again, I think this horse is just kind of now proven, you got a grass horse in your barn. They figured it out, and he looks legitimate at that 8-5. Small Bear for Gary Siaka and Bill Parcells, the August Dawn farm. Looks a little bit interesting off the last race, but he was on the dirt. So if this race does get washed off, maybe Small Bear becomes a little more intriguing. We'll see how it works out. Again, nice stakes action, as I say, tomorrow at various venues, but really with the holiday weekend, there's some nice New York bred stakes action coming up Monday at Belmont. Some of the news over the past few days, I've mentioned it a little bit, but I didn't have the actual numbers. The numbers at Pimlico on Friday and Saturday were really good. Attendance, handle, which then follows, 2 weeks earlier, similar good numbers down at Churchill Downs in Louisville. But the Derby had very good TV ratings, really the best in a while. The Preakness, not so much so. The Preakness took a pretty good hit ratings-wise on NBC. But one of the articles I read said it was the lowest since ABC had the Preakness back in 2000. So again, the numbers weren't good, but it got mitigated a little bit by the fact that it was the best sporting event ratings-wise on Saturday, which included the NBA conference playoffs. So I think that said something. It said maybe there weren't a lot of people watching television. And I was listening to the Big Show. I was watching actually on the network and listening to radio on television. But the Big Replay right there on Capital TV. Night before, Matt Haggerty was on from the Daily Racing Form, and they were kind of talking a little bit about the TV ratings and speculating Derby Day really, Eastern Seaboard certainly was not a great weather day necessarily, and so maybe a lot of people were in, and that boosted the Derby ratings as compared to last weekend for the Preakness, which makes a little bit of sense, but boy, there's such a disparity. But again, given that it, comparatively speaking, did well against other sports, I think speaks well despite the numbers that went in the wrong direction, and it just indicates maybe there was something to weather or whatever. There wasn't a number of people watching this past Saturday as we go back to a couple of weeks ago. But again, that was a little bit disappointing as compared to the live numbers, the handle into the race. I think we've now had two nice Triple Crown races, attendance and handle-wise. And when we talked to Jeremy Plonk, I think it was on Wednesday, who said, I think rightly so, we'll get a little bit of a barometer with the Belmont. No Triple Crown on the line. What kind of attendance, what kind of handle will they get? And it'll be interesting to see now what kind of television ratings they get, because there's no question some of the air comes out of the balloon when there is no Triple Crown on the line. All right, we'll head to a break. When we come back, our friend Brian Nadeau will join us. He was down at Pimlico this past Saturday, was in the horseplayernow.com fan education tent. So he was watching the races and he was interacting with the fans. We'll get some reaction from him on how things went down at Pimlico this past weekend. Also maybe some ideas for this afternoon. Talk a little bit about some of his thoughts for his bankroll today. All of that coming up right after this.
Hey, race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
Championship horse racing continues at Capital OTB. There's no better place to watch, wager, and win than OTB TV and CapitalOTBBet.com.
No matter where in the world you are, the excitement of wagering on horse racing is just a click away. CapitalOTB.com offers live streaming, past performances, race replays, our virtual tote board, analysis and selections from professional handicappers, and a simple, safe, and secure wagering platform. And best of all, you get track prices. Going on now, it's Bet 50, Get 50. Simply open a Capital Bets account, bet $50, and get $50 cash back. CapitalOTB.com. Log on today.
With 10 races totaling more than $7 million, it's one of the richest days in horse racing. It's Belmont Stakes Day, and you don't want to miss a minute of the action. And with Capital OTB, you don't have to. With more than 60 Easy Bet and branch locations throughout upstate New York, the Clubhouse Racebook in Albany, and online wagering at CapitalOTBBet.com, you'll find everything you need to make Belmont Stakes Day your day. So watch, wager, and win at Capital OTB.
With more than 60 Easy Bet and branch locations throughout the region, you're just a short drive from all the top tracks across the country and around the world. For a complete list of all Easy Bet and branch locations, visit CapitalOTB.com. Capital OTB. We're closer than you think.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. It's a Friday. It's an every other Friday, and most of the time that means a happy hour bankroll here at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. That's the case this afternoon. Our friend Brian Nadeau will be administering the money, seeing what he can do with that, and we have him on the line right now to promo the event a little bit. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning. How are we doing down there?
Very good. And before we get into some thoughts for today, I also want to go back to last Saturday as well. Let's get some thoughts for this afternoon. Which tracks do you think you're going to concentrate on?
Well, unfortunately, and hopefully I'm breaking the news, or it's sad, but they're off the turf today at Belmont. So obviously we were going to concentrate. We're going to be heavy at Belmont, and we still will be, of course. But there's a lot of work left to do. We'll have to get some scratches. I'm sure there'll be a bunch of them. I think they had 6 turf races down there. So as we speak, I was sussing out a pick 5 at Santa Anita, so that will be that'll be kind of moved up on the radar for sure. Our friends at Woodbine, obviously, will be heavy in the mix as well. And then a little Churchill Downs, too. I sent a text out to my good buddy. I know you have him on the show, and I believe he's been pretty hot on the show, too. So I've got a text out to him. We'll look at their they've got a pick 5 and a late pick 4 there. Obviously, that is within the window, the time frame of the bankroll. So we'll be spread out. We'll be active. A lot of bullets to players, Seth, so I'm looking forward to it.
Churchill bailed me out a couple of weeks ago, and we got a little string going. I will say, my first 2 visits this year, I whiffed on the first one and then kind of lost money but maintained some bankroll, so everybody got a little bit of money. But then last time, a couple of weeks back, I got bailed out by Churchill with a pretty good pick 3 right at the end of the day. And I know that continues a run because prior to that, you had gotten hot at the end of your last bankroll and made a little profit. So we're on a little bit of a roll here.
Yeah, doing the bankroll is one of the funnest things. I don't want to speak for you, but it's one of the funnest things I do for OTB. But that does not mean, Seth, it doesn't come with a lot of pressure, a lot of trepidation, a lot of butterflies because, I challenge anyone to fire $750 worth of bets to try to finish in the positive. It's hard. So we've had a lot of success, but as you said, and as I will back up, there have been a lot of swings and misses as well. So it's a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. A great crowd we get down there. And the $750 now, too, is a lot of bang for our buck. And I think I'm glad they did that. They did that down when I was in Florida. So I came back and adding 33%, it gives you a lot more maneuverability. And I don't think, at 500, sometimes if you play a $100 bet, you say, "Oh boy, that's a quarter of my bankroll," and maybe you're scrapping a little bit. With $750, there's a lot more maneuverability. I think that has really benefited us, the handicapper, but then certainly on the backside, the customer as well.
Yeah, and it allows us to take shots earlier that maybe you couldn't have. It's a 4-hour window we have, and you don't want to hit the halfway point and have $50 left, and so you can be a little more potent earlier on. Also allowed us to add a few more people to the team, so that's been fun as well. And I can tell you, and and I agree with you, it's a lot of fun. You come in with high hopes, and about half of the day you're either still living with those, or you're kind of like, boy, this is a tough day in front of a big crowd like that. But it is a lot of fun, and it got to the end of the day for me with a pick 4. And I always, I don't know about you, I kind of reverse engineer at the end of the day. I'll take my bets home and look and see, could I have done things differently? And most of the time I feel like, I pretty much said, it was what it was. But this last one, I missed some. I zigged when I should have zagged. I was playing some pick bets, pick 3s and pick 4s, and so I'd be in the middle legs, and I'd say, I'll sit with the pick bet and not play exactas, and then the exacta with my top 2 would come in and pay $80, and then I would play an exacta in the next race, and it wouldn't come in. So it's just one of those afternoons where I thought, I'm handicapping pretty well, but nothing's happening. So it came down to that last pick 4 at Churchill, and they came down the stretch, and it was 2 of mine, but it was a $144 payoff compared to a $925 payoff, and they were head and head. And clearly the team members out in the audience were totally into it. There was a lot of cheering, and that's what makes it a lot of fun. And luckily our long shot got in and kind of paid off for the day. But that is the fun of it too, when everybody's kind of into it. And besides people on the team, I talked a little bit about that long shot winner, and so hopefully people jumped on that as well, even if they weren't on the team, to play for themselves, and that's part of the fun of the afternoon.
Well, that's exactly right, and we get the platform down there where we're on the microphone and streamed live as well. So hopefully, we've got a little audience that even isn't part of the bankroll. Maybe we can steer some people to the right way in that regard too. So you're right, it is pretty cool. And it is always nice to be alive to something significant because the race book kind of comes alive down there. There's no doubt about it.
All right, let's go back to last weekend before we get to some ideas for this afternoon. You were down at Pimlico, part of the Horse Player Now fan education tent. We had Jeremy on Wednesday. He said, really nice afternoon in the tent, enthusiastic people, curious people, people who are willing to open up their wallets a little bit. Talk about your experience down there in the Pimlico infield.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, Seth. We always have a lot of fun down there. Seventh time in 8 years, I believe. And basically all the things you said and all the things Jeremy said. The tent is bustling all day. If you haven't been on the infield on Preakness Day, maybe try it. I don't know. It's an interesting scene. Preface it with saying they sell $20 all-you-can-drink mugs, so I don't really think I need to go on too much. So it's an interesting scene. But I think we do, as I've said many times, I do think we do a really good job in that we steer a lot of people in the right way. And, it's just countless the number of times people come up to us and they don't have any idea what they're doing. They've never made a bet before. And it's pretty cool when you can show them the light, kind of, and maybe give them a winner, and they come right back to you and they want more. So it's a great way to give a positive experience for a lot of first-time racetrackers, and hopefully that turns into something where, they're not just going to Pimlico on Preakness Day. Maybe they're going on other days. Maybe they're going to other tracks. Maybe they're, loading up the simulcast signal on their phone or what have you, and we've got a new fan in the sport. And as you know, we need new fans in this sport.
Yeah, I said to Jeremy last week as we were kind of previewing the tent down there, I said it's really a great service. A big day like that, you get people who clearly are kind of there for the party and have no idea. And boy, if you can give some ideas and have some people cash tickets, there is certainly the potential to make fans for life. And so, as I say, I think it's a great service. And I'll ask you, because putting together the Equidaily page and talking about it for the past week or so, week and a half, a lot of news stories leading into the Preakness down there in Maryland. A lot of controversy, consternation, let's say, about the state of Pimlico itself and whether that facility should or will be upgraded, or potentially the Preakness moving to Laurel. You talked about being down there with the Horse Player Now fan education tent for 7 or 8 years. What are your feelings about the Pimlico facility?
Well, Seth, I mean, it's old, not in a good part of town. The last time I was at Laurel was when Jeremy and I went for a fan ed thing, and it was when they really kind of just started putting the millions in. So I could see where it was going, and I wonder, Seth, if Pimlico is just too far gone. We are talking about, hundreds of millions of dollars that would need to go into Pimlico. It's old, it's outdated, and I think the fact that now Laurel and Frank Stronach have really upped the ante, no pun intended, and just put the million. Obviously, they want the Breeders' Cup. The Preakness is on the radar too. I just kind of think Pimlico might be too far gone. It can't be rescued, and it just needs a drastic overhaul, Seth. And I'm not saying it would need to be leveled to the ground, but it would have to be damn close to that scenario to really get it in line with a Churchill Downs or a Belmont Park, or a facility that warrants hosting the middle jewel of the Triple Crown. So they pull it off. They do a good job. A couple days a year, but I think they're down to 14 days now.
Yeah, the 11th to the 29th, and that's not an everyday thing. I mean, it winds up in a few days, and it just started. And they did knock around 9-figure sums, so they're talking about a lot of money to bring it up to where they want it.
You can just kind of see the way the tide's going. I mean, it's going away from Pimlico, and I don't know the backroom dealings and the financial numbers or anything, but I don't think it's a bad thing that if it's still going to stay in Maryland. I think years ago they were saying it was the Preakness moved to Lone Star or something like that. I remember hearing that. If it didn't run it, it would still stay in Maryland. And Laurel, it's closer to Washington, D.C. There's a lot of casinos down there. There's a lot more. It's a better area where Laurel is, so I don't think it would be a bad thing, Seth. I really don't. And I am, I think, as you know, I'm the last person that wants to advocate change in these kind of areas. I think screwing around with the Triple Crown is the dumbest idea possible. Distances, timing, all that kind of thing. But this is one I would be okay with. So I guess for me to be saying that really, I guess, kind of says how strongly I would be okay with that, because it's just Pimlico's pretty rough.
Yeah, and reading the stories, it seems like, as you say, that's the tide is going in that direction. But local politicians want to keep it there, and we'll see how the machinations work out over the next probably year or two. We'll have a pretty good feeling. All right, let's get couple ideas for today. Again, you'll be down here at the Clubhouse Racebook during the afternoon giving out ideas live, but let's look at a couple at Belmont this afternoon. Of course, people can pick up your thoughts on the website every racing day, every Belmont racing day, capitalotb.com. Click on the Handicappers Report link and then go to that one-sheet download. But race number 5 today, $40,000 claimer, 6 furlongs to trip. What do you like in the 5th?
And quickly, Seth, too, check me out on Twitter today, too, as well, folks. There'll be a bundle of changes to the one sheet. Race 5, Seth, 6-5. 6-5-4 is the play. And I'm a little contrarian in this race because the favorites are down inside, but I think the 1, 2, and 3 all want to be involved early, and I'm playing this race to come from off the pace. I think it's interesting that Javier Castellano gets aboard for Barrera. I mean, it's a very low percentage barn, but Javier's here. This is a tactical horse. He's outside, a lot of speed inside. So I'm going to strongly lean on the 6, 5, and 4 in exotics and horizontals, that kind of thing. I'm playing this one to fall apart late with all the speed down inside. I think Gentrify is a very, very dicey, very false favorite.
7th race this afternoon, starter allowance, $50,000 level, the 1-turn mile and a 16th at Belmont. Your thoughts on the 7th?
And my strongest play today, that's by far, and I don't make many exactas, but going strong to me should be somewhere in the 7 to 8 to 5 range, especially because there's another race with a ton of speed. And I think going strong, my best bet of the day, and I'm going to pair them up with a strong exacta, one of the rare times, and it's just straight 4-5 to the hoop. The Shadow Rider is another horse set that can come from off the pace and pick up pieces in a race where the 1, 2, 3, and 6 all want to be involved in some way, shape, or form. It just looks like it has to fall into the 4-5's lap.
And before we let you go, I'm just sitting here and I have my Belmont past performance sitting with race number 1 on top, obviously. First of all, it's a $100,000 made special race, which is amazing. But there's a first-time starter in here, and it might be before your time, but there's a first-time starter named Sid Finch.
Oh, no, of course not.
Okay, the fictional Sports Illustrated pitcher, right?
Yeah, the guy the 140-mile-an-hour pitcher for the New York Mets.
That's what I thought. As I looked at the name, I thought, yeah. And if people aren't familiar with this story, look it up on. It's got to be out there on Google. It's an amazing story. Probably 30 years old.
1985, I believe.
Okay.
1985. Sid Finch was pitched with a boot on, I believe. It had this crazy delivery, and I forget who wrote the article, but it was.
Wasn't it Plimpton?
Yeah, that might have been it. Yeah,
George Plimpton.
It's a big, long article. I actually read it. I read it many times, but I Googled it a couple of years ago when the name surfaced for some reason, and it's pretty funny. It's pretty wild, and 85, I believe.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I saw the name,
and I thought
thought.
the same thing, Seth, when I saw the name. I said, "That's awesome."
Yeah, really good. All right, Brian, as always, appreciate the visit. Again, you'll be in here this afternoon. People can put their name in the hat from 11 to 2. You will start playing, and a team will get selected around 2 o'clock, and we'll go to 5:30 or 6 or so. Good luck this afternoon. Knock 'em dead.
I'll see you down there, Seth. Thanks, buddy.
All right, Brian Edo, again, bankroll this afternoon. We will shift our attention. We'll go to Joe Christofek at Churchill Downs right after this. Stay with us.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Now get all the racing information you need right on your mobile device with Capital OTB's new mobile app. Wager anytime, anywhere, right from your smartphone or tablet. Watch, wager, and win right at your fingertips. The new Capital OTB mobile app.
And Frosted is coming with giant strides on the far outside. Here comes Honor Code. Here's the layer. Honor Code looked like he got him in the last stride. American Pharoah has lost the lead at the top of the stretch. Keen Ice has got him. Keen Ice has won the Travers. Runs at him with 1 furlong to run. They've let flat out behind. Fort Larned digs in. Mucho Macho Man runs at him. Fort Larned, Mucho Macho Man. Fort Larned with the heart of a champion.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad. Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
I'm Mark Cassano. Join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch. We'll inform, analyze, and welcome in the biggest names in racing. So join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch, right here on the OTB Television Network.
Welcome back to Racing Across America, joined now by Joe Christofek from Churchill Downs. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning. How's it going?
Very good. And before we get into Churchill, just wanted to go back. Any thoughts on Preakness? Obviously, it was a disappointment to me as a racing fan, and probably everybody down there at Churchill as well, that the Derby winner, boy, it doesn't have to win, but just have a little life in the stretch. And so that was a disappointment. But you can't take anything away from the top two. That was a nice ding-dong battle to the wire.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much echoed my sentiments perfectly there. I'm not sure Always Dreaming was on the right part of the track, and he was pushed every step of the way, but you hit the nail on the head. He should have run better than that. And all the rave reviews about how he was training in between the Preakness and the Derby, and then Todd basically coming out and saying the 2 weeks was too much for him. I mean, those are just kind of, mixed signals. You never know which one is right until they run the race. I'm just interested to see how he bounces back, looking forward to some of those summer duels.
All right, let's get to Churchill now. But before we do today, let's go back to Churchill last Saturday because you were on fire, baby, on Fuego. I think, the first 4 or 5 you had. But we're going to pull up a race that you talked about with us last Friday because there was a couple of stakes on the card and the Louisville Handicap. We'll look at that, the Grade 3 event. There were some nice horses in here. The favorite was Twilight Eclipse from our friends at West Point. That one went off at 5-2. Disappoints running 8th. Running 7th, Danish Dynaformer. Running last as the third choice at 5-1 was Generous Kitten. So some of the logical horses didn't get it done. But folks listening to you got it done. You mentioned last Friday, Some in Time, 10-1 on the morning line, floated up to 12-1. We're watching the stretch run here. Some in Time is the 4-horse there on the outside. Right in the thick of things here, late in the stretch, but winds up winning by 3 lengths and pays $26 and change. Again, part of a really good day for you. Congratulations.
Yeah, I had 8 of 11, the last 3, including Sweet Tapper in the Matron, and then Some in TMA or Some in Time, however you want to say it, in the Louisville. And it was an impressive performance. I mean, I was admittedly taking a shot, but I liked the last race. I liked the way he ran. I liked the way he galloped out in the shorter race at Keeneland in the start before. And it proved to be productive with the way he ran last Saturday, and he not only won, like you said, he won authoritatively.
Yeah.
This is a horse that might have a bright future in the Marathon Turf Division this year.
Yeah, it was certainly a very nice performance and a nice call by you. Hopefully, people were paying attention, and we'll do the same thing today. We'll give you some. We'll give folks some ideas for today and a couple of nice stakes again tomorrow on the Churchill card. First, update us on your weather.
Perfect. I mean, I think it's going to be 80 degrees. The rain kind of blew out of here mid-afternoon yesterday. We had a gorgeous night last night. We were off the turf last night, but back on today. The single six carryover pool is just under 40,000. We're taking a swing at that, and fast and firm, lane 2 on the grass.
All right, I handicapped Churchill for our website today, so maybe we can have a meeting of the minds or see where we differ anyway. In the third race this afternoon, starter allowance at the 16 level, 1.8 on the grass. I went 3.625. I took a little bit of shot against Sugar Cube, the favorite, although I have no argument there, particularly off the last race. But I just thought Poor Girl might be a little bit interesting with a return to turf. The numbers just prior were pretty good, as was the performance back at Keeneland. And Mary Blue Eyes also looked potentially a little bit intriguing to me off that one's last race. As I say, though, I may be up against it with Sugar Cube, but I took a little bit of a shot against 3, 6, 2, and 5 for me. What did you see in race 3?
I saw the trainer Rick Hiles in the paddock the other day, and he was very upset with me for not having Sugar Cube in my top 4 the last time she ran. She made me look stupid. She ran one of the best races she's run lately, and she's run a lot of good ones. And Seth, she ran huge on the Kentucky Downs turf last year, so I'm not really concerned about the switch from the dirt over to the turf. If she runs the way she ran last time, the rest of them are running for second money. And quite honestly, she's one of my favorite horses on the ground, so I'm not going to go against her this time.
Yeah, and that was one of the question marks for me, too, the surface. But as you say, there's an okay turf performance going back. So, as I said, I may be up a little bit against it, taking a shot against the favorite in there. Race number 6 this afternoon, a maiden claimer, 30 to 40 tags, 1 1/16 the trip. I went 8, 12, 10, and 7. Cicerone on top, just on the class move. Then I did use number 12. You got to go back a little bit in the PPs, but I thought the start to the career was pretty good. And with the return to turf and the class move, I think that's possible that we could get a rebound and then through the 10 in the mix as well. I'm not super confident in this race, but again, for me, 8, 12, 10, and 7. What did you think in the 6th?
Yeah, we're both on the 8. Just makes so much sense. Lost to Yoshida last time. We all remember what that horse did, and Preakness weekend was one of the better performances I thought of the entire Preakness weekend at Pimlico. And Stocking, that's the horse that ran 3rd, is going to be running in a stakes race, the Arlington Classic tomorrow in Arlington. I think that one's got a little bit of an upset chance in that field. Blinkers on. Ian Wilkes is going great guns right now, dropping class. I mean, if this horse just gets a trip and runs the way he's been running, he should be able to break the maiden today.
All right, and finally for this afternoon, we'll look at race number 8, an allowance non-winners of 1 other than going a mile. 8, 6, 1, and 2 for me. The 3 scared me a little bit as well, but American Cowgirl hasn't been seen since Gulfstream in the middle of March, but I thought the nice improving numbers down there and the good finishing positions warranted taking a shot there. Number 6, coming off a couple of decent 4th place finishes, including a really close-up 4th last time at Keeneland, and Prudence in the 3rd spot. So for me, again, 8, 6, 1, and 2. What did you think in the 8th?
Yeah, American Cowgirl is a heck of a lot better horse than the last time we saw her here at Churchill. She really improved over the course of the winter at Gulfstream. She ran a big race in September here last year, but took her game to a new level at Gulfstream. I went with Ian Wilkes again, Chris Landeros, Rest Ipsa. You mentioned the close-up 4th last time out. Lost ground on the first turn, far back on the turn, rallied through traffic, off heels surged, and it was a moderately paced race. And that race was won by Poor Girl in upset fashion. We're going to see her a little bit earlier on the card, so we'll see if Poor Girl can flatter Rest Ipsa. But again, just with a decent pace to run at and a clean enough trip, I think she's going to be tough to deny in this race.
All right, let's look out to tomorrow's couple of stakes races. The Kirtana, race number 5 tomorrow. These are fillies and mares going 1.5 miles on the grass for $65,000. Daring Duchess has some early speed potentially from the rail with Julien Leparoux on board. There are a couple others in here that potentially are interesting, but boy, it looks like the race, if this horse can string a couple together, goes through Quiet Business. Again, this is a $65,000 kind of overnight stake, and Quiet Business is coming out of a win last time in the Grade 3 Bewitch at Keeneland. We're going to watch that now. Quiet Business is the number 5 horse. Daring Duchess, who I said has the speed from the rail tomorrow, is going to run second in here, the number 2 horse. Now, Quiet Business did upset this race at 16-1, but again, if Quiet Business can string a couple together, looks to be kind of tough tomorrow. But what did you think?
Your guess is as good as mine. I mean, I think this is almost an all-button race. I mean, this is an overnight stake, and sometimes we see races like this where it looks more like a Grade 3.
Yeah.
This looks more like an allowance race to me. I did wind up settling on Grace Stark here. I think that mile race at Tampa was a prep for this. And you would know better than I, Seth, the 1.5 mile race at Saratoga last year where the horse was beaten a length and finishing 4th as the favorite behind a couple of common opponents in this race. I don't think she had the best of it that day. The race prior to that, going 9 furlongs, was pretty good. I think she might have the most upside in this field, and I like that prep at Tampa last time out, and I think she'll be a square enough price. So Grace Stark for me, but I think you got to use several of them if you're playing pick 4s, pick 5s, single 6, etc.
Yeah, it does look interesting. And again, right in the middle of the card, race 5. Later on the card, race 10, the Winning Colors, a Grade 3 event for fillies and mares going 6 furlongs. And I just went to the speed here. And number-wise, this is the horse that jumps out. And so it looks like the race goes through Finley's Lucky Charm. Now, that said, I couldn't take 3 to 5 on this horse. So that's the morning line. It's not going to shock me if this horse takes all the action because, again, comes in having won, 4 of the last 5 races, and numbers has an edge on most in here. We're going to look at the Roxalana back on April 29th at Churchill Downs. It will be number 1, Finley's Lucky Charm, getting it done on the front end all the way around. So as I say, goes through this horse. But boy, and maybe, on pick bets, maybe it's a horse you do use as a free square, but 3 to 5 just seems like a short price in this kind of a race.
I completely agree with you. Now, the way she ran in the Dream Supreme last year, I mean, that was one of the best performances I think I saw all year at Churchill, graded stakes, non-graded stakes. It was absolutely incredible. Then she ran second in the La Brea, which was a good effort. The Roxalana, Brett Calhoun admitted that she was a little bit short instead of throwing her to the wolves in the graded stakes ranks. She picked this spot instead, using it as a springboard to this race. So she should be tighter for this race. She should run better. But she was kind of all out to win that day to hold off Athena. So, use the free square, so to speak, at your own risk. I'd love to see her run a huge race. I think she can take a big step forward, and I'd love her to become one of the best female sprinters in the country. She has the potential to do that. We'll have to wait and see tomorrow. I'll probably watch this race as a fan, honestly.
Yeah, no, I hear you. As I say, a 3 to 5 is always a little dicey, and this one just looks like, again, has an edge. We'll take the money. Will legitimately be the favorite, but it just looks like a short price given the circumstances. Joe, as always, appreciate the visit. Again, congratulations on the nice Saturday last week. Hopefully some good ideas for today and tomorrow as well, and we'll talk again next week.
When you do what I do, it's all about what have you done for me lately. So
Tell me.
We'll see what we can do today and tomorrow and the rest of the weekend. Obviously, Sunday, Monday, big Memorial Day weekend. I hope all of you enjoy it and cash a few tickets along the way. Take care.
Thanks, Joe. Joe Christofek from Churchill Downs. We'll shift our attention over to Pimlico. Dave Rodman back with us right after this.
Championship horse racing continues at Capital OTB. There's no better place to watch, wager, and win than OTB TV and CapitalOTBBet.com. In a recent study of some of the top online wagering sites, Capital OTB won big in total player rewards, far surpassing some of the best-known wagering sites in America. While other rewards programs simply offer you points redeemable for gift cards, Capital OTB's rebates are paid to you in actual cash. Plus, Capital OTB gives you full and immediate access to your money. So if all you're getting now are points and gift cards, join Capital OTB Player Rewards today and get cash back. Visit CapitalOTBBet.com and sign up today. With 10 races totaling more than $7 million, it's one of the richest days in horse racing. It's Belmont Stakes Day, and you don't want to miss a minute of the action. And with Capital OTB, you don't have to. With more than 60 easy bet and branch locations throughout upstate New York, the Clubhouse Racebook in Albany, and online wagering at CapitalOTBBet.com, you'll find everything you need to make Belmont Stakes Day your day. So watch, wager, and win at Capital OTB.
EquestriaCon.
EquestriaCon. The first ever international racing convention.
The first ever. For the fans.
Meet the legends.
The breeders, the owners.
The jockeys like me.
The best of the industry.
Come celebrate racing at EquestriaCon.
Hey race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, and amazing Vegas-style atmosphere. The Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Across America, happy to be joined now by Dave Rodman. Again, I said at the top of the show, plenty going on last week, so we couldn't plug Dave in, but happy to have him on for a little recap and some ideas for today as well. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning. Yeah, a few days recovery after a long week, but a really great week of racing here in Maryland, and I think we saw some very, very nice emerging stars on Friday, Black-Eyed Susan Day, and on Saturday, Preakness Day. The weather, we had a little bit of everything, and from fast and hot and humid to rain and a thunderstorm to a sloppy track to a muddy track and then a good track. And by the time the Preakness hit, everything was fine again on a nice, cool, breezy Saturday for Preakness 142.
And I got a couple of replays here to comment on, and then we'll get some overall thoughts as well. But I pulled up Cloud Computing and Recruiting Ready, so let's look at the stretch run of the Preakness first up. And my thoughts all week long have been, it's disappointing when the Derby winner just gave it up as early as he did. We see him come around the turn here, and Classic Empire is going to lead, and Always Dreaming is just giving it up on the turn. And so that's disappointing, but you can't take anything away from the two horses, Cloud Computing and Classic Empire. Nice ding-dong battle. Makes for a good call for you, certainly, and it was clearly a very exciting stretch run.
Yeah, and from the start, when the gates opened was crucial because we wanted the Classic Empire to get away with a clean break and Always Dreaming as well. And they did as they broke side by side, and it was just a perfect start for both of them, and then they really put on a show for about 6 furlongs together, but Always Dreaming fading about 2.5 furlongs out from the wire and fading to the back of the pack. And in the meantime, Classic Empire showing a lot of heart after a pretty quick pace on the drawing and fast track that had been muddy and then good in the middle of the day. Holding on, looked like he might have been gone at the top of the stretch.
Yeah.
But here comes Cloud Computing with a good perfect trip and a perfect ride by Javier Castellano and Chad Brown. Here's a horse who was fresh coming into the race. He's an improving 3-year-old, and he put it all together in the right time in the last jumps to get up to beat the champ.
Yeah, as I said, it was disappointing in that the Derby winner wasn't more of a contender late in the stretch, but you can't take anything away, and adds another name to this 3-year-old division. It might set things up. I said earlier, maybe for us up here at Saratoga, maybe we'll have the playoff, as it were, in the Travers later this summer. So maybe something good will come from it.
My biggest fear with Always Dreaming, he'd been training so good but so sharp all week, you know, was that he was going to show that kind of speed, and maybe that was going to be his undoing. So, we'll see what happens later on in the summer, and there's still some emerging 3-year-olds out there to go. It should be an interesting summer at Saratoga.
And wanted to pull up also the Chick Lang, watch Recruiting Ready, get it done, and I pulled this one up because obviously there were some local connections with Sagamore, but this was a pretty nice performance, and I'm assuming the winner's circle reflected the local flavor.
Indeed. The Under Armour tent, the Kevin Plank owner of Under Armour, was chock full of people in the first turn, and they brought a pretty good portion of the celebrities and the people in the tent to get in the winner's circle picture. And this horse, just a tremendous job, I think, by Sagamore and Horatio DePaz in managing this horse from the standpoint that they found out he just really wants to kind of sprint. He's not necessarily a two-turn horse. He's very talented, not putting him above his head this year and getting him to try to do things he doesn't want to do. That was a really ultra-sharp performance. And if anybody, I don't know if you have the picture at all, you can pull it up off of Twitter with jockey Horatio Caramanos, who's a very professional, kind of subdued rider, very athletic, jumping up in the air and grabbing the Sagamore Farm manager. And it was a classic picture. It's actually posted in the racing office now.
Yeah, leapt into his arms. I did see that. That was funny. But you and I also talked during the break. Those were a couple of nice performances on a 2-day period of nice stakes races and performances. Hats off and applause to the racing office down there for 2 great days.
Yeah.
But Whitmore, you agreed. You mentioned Yoshida. I agree there. I thought Actress, the maiden, winning the Black Eyed Susan was kind of interesting. Clearly the disappointment on the weekend was Ben's Cat. But from what I've heard, King Leatherberry moving forward and thinking, maybe. Ben's Cat was funny, as you mentioned, Friday and the weather. That storm hit right as they went into their gate for that race, and you'll wonder if that doesn't affect the horses somehow.
It sure did. I mean, it was a pretty quick, woe to go with the rain there. It really hit, and the turf course did get very, very slick. He does have a point, King Leatherberry, and that it did slick it up pretty quickly there. And I thought with as much speed as there was in the race, somebody had to be coming, but nobody really closed from the back of the pack. It was a big field. It was a tough spot for Ben, but we'll see. He's going to go on with him, and there's a lot of pluses and minuses about that, and a lot of talk on the internet about that decision. But we'll see. The Cat, he's a fan favorite, and we all love him. He's still a champion.
And again, as you said, Yoshida looked pretty good. Whitmore really impressed me. Actress on the Black Eyed Susan, too.
Yeah, the way the track was playing, he kind of, I think, just had a rough trip, Whitmore, but overcame that. It looked like midway on the turn, he may have been fading a little bit and maybe wasn't going to win, but great ride, got him to the outside, and he gets up in time. A top class sprinter there, Whitmore. It was great to see he and AP Indian here in Baltimore in the sprint. And the track on Friday, just of note, the speed was holding early in the day. Then we had the rain, and closers are coming a little bit from everywhere after the rain, so it's going to be tough to label that track on Friday afternoon. But big fields all day long. The handle was huge, and then capped off, of course, by Preakness Day with a strong record handle in the Preakness All Sources of $97 million. So hats off, and as you mentioned, to the racing office, Georgianne Hale and Coley Blind, the stakes coordinator, Jillian Safarelli, and all the other crew in there for getting those races together.
And hats off finally to you before we move on from the weekend, because the infield is where the party is, but it's also where the tents are. And boy, looking at that, if folks wondered why, as you watched races over the weekend, on the backstretch they would cut to a backstretch camera instead of sticking with the traditional pan camera, it's because you can't see the backstretch through a lot of those tents, which made your job very tough, but you did a great job over the weekend.
I couldn't drone myself over there to see what was going on. I mean, I just did look through the binoculars, but you kind of hem and haw, especially between 3 and the 2.5 furlong mark there, where the second stage was up, really obscuring the view on the turf especially, but on the dirt as well. And that was down by the Preakness. But, you just learn to live with it a little bit. And it's almost like you don't really warm up the field as much as you do on a normal day because you can't see them. So, Yeah, just luckily made it around. I think I made one flub. I'm not sure. I don't even want to go back and check it.
And
I guess one out of 20 isn't bad.
Yeah.
Not calling the wrong winner, but. Yeah.
No, I give you all the credit in the world because, as I say, to call it through the obstacles over the weekend was tough. All right, let's get some ideas for today. Update us on the weather down there.
Oh, yeah, beautiful finally. We had a lot of rain yesterday morning, cleared up a little bit yesterday afternoon, then bam, a huge storm hit last night. But we are back on the turf today with sunshine and some nice cooler temperatures. Fast, and I don't want to say fast. I'm not at the track yet. It's probably at least good. And then the turf will be anything other than firm, perhaps good to yielding.
All right, let's take a look at today's fourth race. The fourth race at Pimlico is a maiden claimer, 20 to 25 tags, mile and a 16th on the grass. Nice full field of 10 with 6 AEs. What did you see in race 4?
I'm going to try this horse by Lonro, who was dull in an off-the-turf race last time out. Break the Mold, number 9, claimed last time out into the Aparna Batula barn. To who? Well, Aparna, she was a rider, as you recall, here back in Maryland several years ago. Was injured, had a few horses at Delaware, had a lot of success with a small number of horses, especially some off the claim. So kind of a trainer that doesn't have a lot of horses, maybe has found another gear here and claimed a couple of horses lately for herself and for a couple of owners as well. So first off the claim and Break the Mold, interestingly enough, an ex-Sagamore horse who was claimed off of Sagamore for $50,000 in the debut at Gulfstream back in 2016. Well, you look at his running lines, he's got a lot of trouble lines in there, but on the turf today, I think he'll go well here off the claim. So quiet, the winner of that race off the turf came back to win yesterday again on the main track.
Danny Santino scheduled to come in. Those of us who watch Tampa in the wintertime certainly familiar with his name.
Yeah, he's a strong rider and a really good turf rider.
Yeah, absolutely. 8th race this afternoon at Pimlico. Optional claimer, starter allowance, both at the 25,000 level. Scheduled for a quick 5 on the grass. Your thoughts in the 8th?
Yeah, Northern Eclipse, I thought visually was the best kind of winner last time out, and I think she's going to win right back again today for trainer Hugh McMahon, who's having a solid meet already at Pimlico. Sheldon Russell back in the saddle again. I'm just looking for a repeat of that. Just a good kind of a stalking trip for Northern Eclipse. Visually, I thought she won with a little something left. Driving winner, but a good-looking winner in a daylight score.
And finally, race number 9, maiden claimer, 35 to 40 tags. They're on the main track going 3/4 of a mile. What did you see in race 9?
Well, Kieran McGee, already 27% for the meet, and this horse switching to his barn for the first time here, Shackle Me Good, a Shackleford filly who's coming from turf back to dirt. I love the way she flashed that good speed on the turf last time out at 22 and a 45-2 at Laurel. It might be Catch Me If You Can this afternoon, returning to the dirt course. There's been a winner out of that last race, a maiden 40. They don't drop her in like they're trying to sell her, get rid of her. They're keeping her in for that purchase price of $40,000. And about the same level, maiden claiming level, she's run for in all 3 starts, 1 on the turf and 2 in the dirt. And since that last race, you see a bullet work, best of 18, 47-1 over this track where Kieran McGee is stabled here at Pimlico. So some sharp work since the last start. I think she's gone today. Shackle Me Good.
All right, Dave, got to wrap things up, but as always, appreciate the visit, and we wish you good luck this afternoon. And as the Pimlico meet winds up, seems like you guys just got there.
Right, and we're leaving Monday, Memorial Day, and we'll see you at Laurel on June 9th. We take a little bit of a break here in Maryland between now and June 9th, so I guess I'll talk to you in June.
All right, so we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks, and when we do, I got to plug in. I knew we weren't going to have time today, but I watched the Acacia Courtney piece. I got to hear a little bit about the early DJ days, but again, we'll save that for a couple of weeks.
That could be an hour-and-a-half show, depending on what we're talking about. Yeah.
And I hear in the calls every once in a while there's some music references, so I guess that goes back to the.
We had one yesterday, but you know, I guess some people don't even get them anymore. You're trying to use those oldies. I guess the Eagles now I guess the Glenn Fry Dirty Laundry is an oldie now, right?
The one yesterday I got, but there was one a couple of weeks ago that I had to look up, Nene, which I think is...
Oh, yeah, well, that you see, I mean, that's where you have to get hip there, Seth. You got to listen to...
Exactly right, because I knew there was a reference, but I had to go to Google to find it.
We span all generations here.
Again, in a couple of weeks we'll get
we play the hits from all decades.
Stacks of wax and mounds of sounds. But again, we'll hit on that again sometime in the future. Dave, appreciate the visit.
All right.
Dave Rodman from Pimlico. Again, they wind things up on Monday, their short Pimlico meet. But boy, they had a great Preakness weekend, certainly. Before that, it's Joe Christovac, Churchill Downs, Brian Nadeau. Again, don't forget, let me hit on promos and events while we're doing it. Bankroll today here at the Clubhouse Racebook, $750 administered by Brian. Come in between 11 and 2, put your name in the hat. We select 30 people at about 2 o'clock. 5 more picked online, so go to the website if you're interested in that option. And again, starting about 2 o'clock, I'd love to have a full house down here rooting Brian along with his bankroll, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. Tomorrow, a knockout challenge online. More info at the website. A $50 knockout challenge here at the Clubhouse Racebook on Sunday. All right, I'm going to wrap things up because, as usual, I'm late. It's just that these shows are so jam-packed. I want to thank our friends at Woodbine for their sponsorship. Woodbine, pick, bet, and cheer on great racing north of the border. We're here every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 10 until 11 a.m., but don't forget the great programming continues over the weekend. Tomorrow morning, the Handicappers Report at 9. At 10 o'clock, it's Mark Casano and Down the Stretch. 9 o'clock on Sunday, Handicappers Report at 10, and they're off. Enjoy the races this afternoon. Cash a few tickets, and don't forget to come right back here tomorrow morning at 9 for the Handicappers Report.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.